Alright, answering Q&A question here. Early as shit in the morning edition. Got asked, oh god, I had really bad asthma when I was a kid, and now, like, I get chronic bronchitis like 4 or 5 times a year, where I'm basically just sick all the time. It's ridiculous. But anyway, got asked a question about how to set up like loading parameters, sets and reps, intensity, stuff like that for speed pulls. So I've got a couple different ways that I've done it personally over the years. I probably saw the most success out of it the way I'm going to explain right now. And obviously there's more than one way to do this, and I can definitely go in depth a little bit more about a couple different ways to set it up. But I definitely saw the most benefit by kind of keeping the bar weight around the same. So keeping it right around like 50, 55%, somewhere around there, and actually waiving different band tensions, accommodating resistance with different chain, like different amounts of chain and stuff like that. But what I would do is, say I've got 50% on the bar, and I'm using a quadded up monster mini band or something on there. I would do that for 2 weeks at a time and not really change anything about it, except in week 2, I would try to do either a little bit more or the same amount of sets and reps that I had planned on doing, as just in a little bit shorter time frame. So I would always keep track of the time, but then really try to push the density of that workout by just like really trying to get, the same amount of work done as last week in a shorter amount of time. So that shows me, if I'm still moving fast by the end of it, still got like keeping the speed up and everything like that, that shows me I have a quantifiable increase in just work capacity and just, movement efficiency if I can do the same amount of work in a shorter amount of time. So it's kind of a neat way to get feedback on a bi-weekly basis while you're doing your speed lifts and everything. I'm a big fan of doing that at least once a week. If you want to add in, another deadlift specific day, it can't hurt to do a little bit more speed work. Maybe have like a heavier, like maybe a day that's closer to like 60%, a day closer to 50%, and then, do just like I said, kind of waving the band tensions around. Now, obviously further out from a meet, you can get a little crazier with it. You can do a little bit more band tension, a little bit more chain and stuff like that, but obviously as a meet gets closer, you really want to focus on just developing as much force as you possibly can into the bar and moving as fast as you can. So that's definitely the time during training when you want to start like tapering down on the amount of accommodating resistance that you have. As far as sets and reps, I'm a big fan with deadlifts, sticking to sets of 1, maybe 2, just working on your setup. Just really, deadlift is super, super technical, as in if your setup is fucked up, the whole rest of the thing isn't even worth doing because you're going to screw it up anyway. So just having that extra time to kind of like set up for each first rep is really, really important, I think. So as far as that, when you consider exactly how much accommodated resistance you have on the bar, it's going to be anywhere from like 20 to 30%, maybe 40% if you're going crazy one week. So when you consider that it's about 50% on the bar already, that's a 90% at your lockout. So you really want to pay attention to definitely like just how your hands are feeling and stuff. You might feel great while you're doing it, but then if every other lift the rest of that week feels fucked up, you might be using too much. So just keep in mind that, just kind of figure out exactly how much tension or how much chain you're using, and just really kind of monitor that. Kind of base your percentages you're using off of that top end weight, because that's really the only part that matters, because you want to pull it fast off the floor anyway, so who cares what's actually on the bar. Just that total top end percentage of your max plus the accommodated resistance and everything, that's going to be where you set up your set and rep schemes. And I've ever just used pre-Lipin's table, and that works great. And then just no matter where that top end percentage is at, though, I switch it to I like to switch to like doubles and singles and stuff like that, just for the reason I mentioned before. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Hopefully that just kind of gets a loading parameter. I know it's a little bit different than what most people do when they think of like speed pulls or dynamic effort deadlifts. But like I said, running those 2-week waves where you really focus on the density in the second week has just that's always worked really, really well for me.